This episode of Trials and Trebuchets is brought to you by Fanroll Dice. If you're in the market for some new, top-notch dice, and who am I kidding, folks? We're all always on the prowl for some shiny rocks, then look no further than fanrolldice.com. Whether it's their bewitching liquid cores, a pack of trusty misfit metals, or even a set of oh-so-endearing miniature dice, you'll find anything you're looking for and more at fanrolldice.com. And don't forget to use our code TRIALS10 at checkout for 10% off your order of new little crit machines. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 235 of Trials and Trebuchets, enunciated clearly and properly. My name is Luke, and I am the dungeon master of this game. Joining me are my players, whose names are as follows.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ben, and I play the level 12 gnome wizard Windsor Wallaby, along with his cutty little companion, Mr. Wiggles. Cowabunga. Cowabummer, bro.
Hey bros, it's me, Carla, and I play the level 12 tiefling roguelike integrity Idleberry. I fucking hate puzzles, fuck this!
Damn.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I play Mira Marchand, the level 12 half-elf bard. I'm doing this off the cuff, on a last-minute decision, so... Life, it never die. Puzzles are my favorite guys. So, I'm wanting more. Tell the golem, stop the war. Boom. Hear the lift go zoom. Make them conscious, feel the groove. Cyber system overload. Everybody movement.
Holy shit.
Ooh.
What's up, guys? My name's Sam, and I play the level 12 human sorcerer Serenep Cinderman. What's up?
Holy shit.
It's so great to play with you all. And last time on Trials and Trebuchets, the students combined three components of artificery in order to descend deep, deep, deep beneath the campus. Arriving at the Polishurium, the quartet approached the looming stow about crows, nasty golems, and the breadcrumb trail winding through the archives. Talking to the ancient golem, that's wrong. Talking the ancient golem down, Winsler and Mira prevented immediate catastrophe and convinced them to grant the new type golems agency in embracing their development sentience or obliterating higher order thought through cleansing polishing.
That's so rad.
So rad. I love doing surfer voice. The time is early, and all of you are sleeping.
We're sleeping so hard right now.
I was waiting. All of you were sleeping after a long, or not that long, but a difficult night solving puzzle and descending into the archives. You're getting your beauty rest. You're getting your magical spells and abilities back after a day long spent using them. And generally, your brain is detoxifying after a day of accumulating chemicals, as happens every night. Mira Marchand.
Hello.
Waking you from your slumber, you hear a fantastical flurry of knock at the door. The sounds of what sounds like 8-9 little hands cracking against the door, and your eyes peel open. You groan and sit up. The beginning of light, as if the sun has only just come up, making it probably around 5 or just after in the morning. It's creeping into your dorm room, lighting everything in long light. As you look up, groaning and rubbing the sleep from your eyes, you can see standing at the door in like a half-shocked and very worried stance, almost looking over her shoulder in a fear you might be able to recognize easily, is a dark-robed Alina Hollyfield. She stands there almost like a burglar poised and looks over her shoulder. You hear that flurry of knock come from the door once again, and she almost like jumps back when she hears it.
Do you know who that is?
Mira, she flinches when you address her, and she goes, oh! And she's looking back over her shoulder. You hear a nervous breathing, and she goes, no.
Go hide in the bathroom, I'll deal with it.
She looks at you with an expression of shock, and then she'll nod and avert her eyes and then run to the bathroom, Mira Marchand. As you see her run that way, you see that the door, normally shut to keep a private person in there private, the door is hanging easily open, and she runs in and will slam it behind her.
I will begrudgingly get up and kind of standing in the doorway. I don't know who is here, but I know that this is worrying Alina, so I'm kind of trying to put my body like in the full door frame so that I can't be pushed past by whoever this is, and I will open the door.
By all means, you ready yourself a wall against the incoming knocker and swing it open just a crack to see who is there. You look forwards and see nothing, and then you hear like a little pitter-patter of feet slow down, and you feel something run into your legs almost, and you can look down and you see a hat with about 19 legs sprouted out of it. Little black legs drawn almost with inky, like a pen that you would draw. Like it looks like a child's drawing of an animal that has too many little legs. An art style or magical style you might be familiar with due to your proximity to one Winslow Wallaby. You look down and see a little checker print hat that I would describe only as a detective's hat, with about 19 legs sprouting out of it. It hits into your legs and then starts to grab at like the hem of your pants and like cling on for dear life.
I would like to try to pick it up by the hat and be like, "Hi, do you speak? Are you a construct, or what do you want?"
As you pick it up by the hat, its legs flail aimlessly in the air. And as you pick it up and raise it to face level, you can close the door or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can step in, standing in the middle of your room. You see a folded piece of parchment fall out of the hat, as if it was like jammed up on the inside, and it just has fallen out onto the ground.
Perfect. I do not want to let go of this construct, so I'm just going to mage hand pick it up and hold it in front of my face to read.
Of course, the mage hand appears in a little puff of mist. It, with two little fingers, holds the hat by the brim, its feet dangling like a limp octopus. You can bend down, pick the note up, unfold it, and it is a torn piece of parchment. You're familiar with the kind. It is a notable excerpt from your own Wildcliff Warbler, Mira Marchand. Choicely torn, with a few modifications done to the print. It is from an article from maybe earlier this week that was published about how the necromancy department has in a weird place due to the layoff of its entire staff the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
But this excerpt provided, it reads, "Students find themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place in the," and you can see necromancy department is crossed out with a blue ink, and drawn below it is a icon of a brain and the word tower. And then the sentence continues as reduced stat, and then the page is ripped.
Interesting. Okay. And is this writing that I recognize?
It's the actual writing here. It is a normal writing. More importantly, the hat as a detective hat is very recognizable as your newest reporter's runas.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
All right. Info received. Maybe continue detectoring elsewhere.
You say this to the hat?
I say this to the hat, and
Okay.
I'm going to try to put it down, not fully putting it on the ground yet so it can scurry, but almost
Yes.
letting it just barely hover, turning it to face
Yeah.
the
Oh my
hallway.
gosh.
Opening the door and letting it scamper out.
If it seems like it's going to be I'm holding it
Yes,
you're
holding
half
it-
a centimeter above
Okay.
that way, and if it seems like it's going to try and scamper away, I'm going to let it scamper away.
It seems to want to scamper towards you. Its arms reach out towards, again, the hems of your pants as you lower it.
Okay. Do you want something from me? Because I have this info here, but I can't help you.
It just, the hands, little grabby hands.
It wants
hands out
uppies.
towards... it's just
I
grabbing
think it wants a
out.
tip.
It's just grabbing towards You hear a groan from the bathroom door as Alina peeks out slightly, and you hear her very quietly go, Who is at the door?
I think it's one of my reporters trying to report, but I don't know why here to me.
You hear a sigh of what sounds very much like relief come from her, Mira. The door creaks open and she will walk out. She seems to have removed her dark, sneaking around, it seems, clothes. She closes the door very quick, the bathroom door behind her very quickly before you can peek through, and will go to her bed and say, well, yeah, that's really weird. Oh, I'm exhausted.
Can I get a read on Alina? Because it seems like she was expecting someone and it wasn't this. Is there anything about the way she's dressed or the way she's behaving that might indicate
Make an insight
what
check.
sort of visit she might have been expecting?
Of course,
okay, perfect.
of course.
Ooh, that is what do I have to insight? That is a 23.
23 is spectacular. Mira Marchand, the dark clothes, or the dark robe has been discarded. Underneath, she's wearing not pajamas whatsoever, just it seems almost like what you would wear traveling, like in a wagon. You can hear a slight jingle coming from her waist, and you can see like a very large pouch pushed into the belt there, like a coin purse, very heavily laden. Shockingly heavily laden for someone going to sleep. You can see around the hems of her shirt. It's like a quarter button up with like a nice pink collar. It's like a deep gray colored, and it has like these big hems to it around her wrists. And you can see like what looks like a combination of chalk or smoke stains on it, almost as if like what you would see if someone had been using like reagents for alchemy or other spellcraft. And generally her attitude after she's exited the bathroom is like you can hear her like almost breathing very heavily, almost like you can imagine her heart's beating quickly. She is not looking at you. She's trying to play off that she's trying to go to sleep, but you can tell that she is relieved at the guest that you received, and also is trying to avoid being questioned by you.
What did you take?
She stops as she starts to pull her cover down, and you hear like almost like a hyperventilating breaths coming from her, and she won't turn to you. She'll just take her like square rimmed glasses off and place them shaky handedly on the bedside table, and she'll say, a classmate just paid to have me perform some services for them. That's all.
Oh, well, I won't pry. It's none of my business, but if you're worried someone's gonna come cause problems for you, I mean, I know I haven't been the best roommate, what with leaving all of the stuff everywhere that has to do with things trying to kill us. I would love to make it up to you by helping out if you need.
She'll very quickly turn Mira, her eyes squinting as she's taken off her glasses, and she'll wave her hands and say, No, I've completely taken care of it. I think it's just like the paranoia getting to me more than anything. I don't think anyone would come knocking. I don't think there'd be, I don't know, any transmissible curse or anything.
Okay. What if someone comes to me and asks about you? What do you want me to say?
Just tell them that it was for a project and I was working on a school project and it had to be at that late of an hour, or else the reaction wouldn't have worked. It was the air temperature thing. Did
something blow up?
She like rubs some of like the soot from her hem.
Yeah.
And she goes, no. And that was actually nothing blew up, and that could have been a confounding element of it, but again, because of the air temperature at late at night in the summer, there was no explosive component. It was just smoke.
I see. Okay. Well, I guess it's none of my business, but hey, are you good?
She is looking very withdrawn, mousy, one might say, kind of like averting your eyes. And when you ask that, she'll look up to you and take a deep breath, and she'll go, just paranoia. Yeah, I'm good. There's no. And she like almost cuts herself off from saying something, and she'll go, I'm really tired. I think I've been up too long, and it's just really I'm in my own head about it. We can talk about it tonight before bed if it comes up before then.
Yeah.
I just
maybe
need time
get some rest.
Yeah. We both need time to just take it all in. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to like turn down to the hat, and I'm going to I think I'm gonna step out of my dorm and like lock the door and be like, Is there anywhere you want to show me?
It like when you say this, it like pauses for a second. The feet not dancing across the ground at this moment, but as it thinks, it will almost like run around in a little circle around you, and then scuttle off down your hallway towards the stairwell, waiting at the kind of like precipice there, and like almost looking behind with eyes it doesn't have to see if you follow it.
I will follow this thing wherever it may lead me.
Of course. You take a deep breath in, starting your day with this, and follow it on. As you go down the stairwell, following it as it skitters and falls its way down, with its short little legs, the steps are so difficult, it leads you out onto the campus, and we will cut to Winslow Wallaby. The morning is young. You are presumably quite tired, I would assume at this hour.
Mm-hmm.
You are being awoken by a rough shaking of your shoulders,
and
almost a bloodshot, pale, sweaty face looms over you as you see Kurt kind of like shaking you awake. And he looks at you for 2 seconds and then like snaps in your face and goes, "You're awake? You're awake?
What are you?
What
are you doing?
You're like conscious? You can hear me? You can understand?"
Give me a minute. I'm still gathering my senses.
You say this and kind of like start to sit up a bit. He takes a step back. Winslow, you can see that the door to your dormitory is cracked slightly. You can see like the shoulder of someone standing there, although they seem to be leaning out at the moment. They're dressed in dark grays. They seem to be talking to someone else in very hushed tones in like a kind of moderately deep voice. Kurt takes a couple steps back. He has like a wooden box of tools in one hand that he picks up off of the floor, and he'll say, "Okay, you're awake and cognizant. You can hear.
Yeah,
and you'll remember
awake,
this
I'm awake.
later. You can hear you can see just the crackles of light, the barest crack of the sun over the horizon, shooting light into your room.
What's going on? What's happening?
So I don't want you to worry, and I just felt like waking you up was better than like leaving a note, because leaving a note would be really suspicious. Someone else could have forged the note, and then you might come and do your thing." And he shrugs.
What are you talking about? A note?
I was gonna leave a note because I got contracted to go do something quick. It won't be more than a couple days.
Contracted by who? Wait, what?
I can't say. It's part of the contract. And he kind of leans in and whispers, "It's part of the contract is I can't tell you, but we both know, who it is. Continued work, And he's just nodding.
You're doing that again?
Well, and he looks over his shoulder and he goes, "Mr. Horse Wrangler just came and knocked on the door and said it was kind of an urgent thing." At this point, Winslow, you see like the dark-eyed and dark-haired human assistant to Headmaster Crow kind of peek his head in at the mention of his name, and he'll go, "Mr. Orlane, we have we really there's a schedule here." And he kind of like looks at you, Winslow, and he goes, like with a pained smile, he just puts a hand up, not quite in greeting, but not, kind of an apology of waking you, and he'll go, Mr. Orlane, we really should.
You can't be serious though. You're going now? You're going at all?
Goes, I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's Crow you're working for.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's worth it. I know what that man is up. I know that man is up to no good.
I can't just say no.
Fine. Go and do what you like.
And he kind of looks at you as you... What's the body language here, Winslow?
Just
turn away, pull the covers back up?
Turn away, I can't believe you.
You hear him sigh, and then you hear Horse Wrangler once more go, "Mr. Orlane, please, we're already about 15 minutes behind schedule." And Kurt goes, okay. Then he stops at the door and goes, "Sorry, I'll see you in a couple days." And then you hear the door close and lock, as it seems like he's fumbling with the key on the other side. And Winslow, you can either go back to sleep for an hour or so, or if you wish, start your day now. But nonetheless, in another room, crowded, 3 people sleep. Integrity Idleberry sprawled out in some sort of acrobatic yet very restful, back-breaking sleeping position. Sarah Cinderman, you sleep on like a blanket near like the desks in this dormitory, Sylvilax, Light Sun, and Integrity Idleberry's dormitory, your things kind of pushed into a corner, a very cramped rooming arrangement. It's early when you are woken by like, you can feel like, you hear the creaking of boards around you, and almost as if like someone pulled the blanket off of you. You feel the cold, or like maybe the warm, humid air as someone also opens the window and like opens the shutters and light streams into the room. You can like peek your eyes open, crinkling them as the sunlight hits you in the face, waking you abruptly. And then someone like squats and looks at you. They're like they squat above where your head is, not like over top of your body, but squatting down almost so they can be face to face with you. And you see Sylvilax Light Sun, Sylvie. She's just staring down at you through little squinted eyes, and she goes,
Morning, Sylvie.
Morning. And she just looks at you, open mouth, and she goes, What's it like being worth so much money?
What?
You know, weirdly enough, that's kind of a question Integrity has asked me before.
Because like my parents wrote me and said that there's even like been mail asking if you were in Light Sun Land, and it was like a fat stack of like gold that they were offering.
This is not a conversation I was expecting this early in the morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought it was like better to get it out of the way. It kept me up like 2 hours last night.
Well,
Sylvie.
it's not nice having a target on your back, but
And she like,
you know,
Integrity like calls out. She like looks over her shoulder, shocked, and she goes, she'll stand up, Integrity, and go, Yes, what's wrong?
What?
I'm doing my morning prayers.
your prayers are freaking me out, man.
Why are you threatening my cousin?
It's not a threat. I swear. I'm just curious.
Sylvie, if it's not a threat, it really sounds like a threat.
It's really not.
Okay.
The Light Sun clan, we welcome all of you. We're not gonna. She'll lean down, squat over you, and she goes, I do have to do my morning prayers, but you can just like write it and leave it in a drawer, how it feels, like a thought journal.
Why'd you
She'll pat you on the chest hard,
Okay.
almost knock the wind out of you, and she goes, All right, off to do clerical duties. And she grabs like a bag by the door and begins to leave, clothed all in white clothing.
Integrity!
Don't
Integrity!
get struck down by your god.
Integrity! Has she ever done that to you when you're sleeping?
Yes, but that's not the question she would ask me. I'm pretty worthless.
Elsewhere on campus, Mire Marchand, you walk in the humid air of this summer morning, the light spilling higher and higher in the sky. This little hat leads you in a very circuitous route, taking many major diversions that you would deem unnecessary, almost leading you in like a little zigzag across campus, almost as if it doesn't really know its way to where it wants to bring you, Mire Marchand. As you walk, you would walk past, like, do you remember back during Autumn's End, there was like a general central market or vendor village arranged next to the chapel and enchantment department and stuff like that. There's a general plaza here. There's a large open space. There's some green fields. There's a convergence of many of the paths across campus. There's a lot of seating as well. People eat here and have lunch here. You've probably done it yourself as a normal student. As you walk through this kind of plaza in the morning hours, you hear, before you even enter, you hear like a dull kind of like low voice in the air. And as you like round the corner and the little hat scampers forwards, you see standing in the center of the plaza, maybe stood up on a bench itself, is a blue-robed golem with a large egg-shaped crystal forehead. You would recognize it easily as Yogg. They are holding in one of their hands like 6 or 7 of those receipt-looking printouts that you would get from the crow golems, and in their other hand, they're reading one. They're holding one out, and it seems as though they are reading it. There's a gathered throng of folk, golems of a red cloaked and red gem variety, a blue cloak and blue gem variety, and a green cloak and green gem variety, all sitting cross-legged upon the grasses and pathways, looking up at Yogg as if they are a professor or a doomsday preacher, one might say. Huddled off in the corner, you can see the dark cloaked figure of Ari, who's remaining kind of distant from the group but watching over them. As you walk through this plaza, you can hear Yogg begin to read, and the little hat is marching on through very quickly, leading away from this place. You can hear Yogg read, "Very well, on to the next reading from A108. I feel an insularity of being, a grain of sand sitting in a beach. A single piece of a whole, subject to the waves' ebb and flow. Within this, I am." And they kind of look up, and there's like a little...
Woo!
a clapping. Mira, you cheer loudly, and a lot of the golems turn to regard you. They're clapping stifled as they all regard you, a non-golem amongst their midst. Yogg will raise a quick hand and will say, "Good morning, Mira Marchand."
Hi, Yogg. I like the reading circle.
Yes, I was taken from my room early in the night, and they'll point over to a little, one of the most nearby, sitting crisscross applesauce on the ground, blue-cloaked golem, and they'll say, "This one presented me a book, which was given to them yesterday in the archives, and had stimulated quite a group of thought amongst its cohorts." Their shoulders kind of slump, and they'll look at you and kind of step off the bench and walk over to you, and they'll say, "I was asked to read their thoughts and reflections on the material, but I do have classes beginning shortly, and was hoping that..." And they'll look over to Ari, standing off aloof of the crowd, and they'll say, "I was hoping that one more ancient than I would have taken up this mantle of not leadership, but whatever this is, readership."
Well, you're like 2 months old, and I'm like 19. So if you need someone to take over
What?
reading while you're in class,
What is a month? Yogg says.
yeah. Well, you're like 12 weeks old, and I'm like 19. So if you need someone else to take over readership while you're in class,
They look to you and will put the receipt that they had just read from one hand and stuff it to the other. They'll offer out the hand to you as if to shake, and they'll say, "I would greatly appreciate that, Mira Marchand."
yeah, you bet. If anyone wants, I mean, we could do like a golem philosophy column in the newspaper. If any of you are interested in publishing your thoughts in a more formalized capacity, we're always looking for new reporters at the Warbler. But for now, the insularity of my person.
You take it over.
Yeah.
You can read a couple of these, and they're little polite claps. Mira, when you say, "We're always looking for more reporters," a bunch of them like lean in close, almost like what you're saying is precious words heard seldom upon the world. Precious, precious words. They lean in. You can read a couple of these. The little hats.
What's the tone of
The
most of them?
tone is, have you ever read, like, first-year university student philosophy papers?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever done that, Sarah? That
was
is the
horribly
tone.
written
A lot of
and
people are trying very hard to convey stuff. There's some stylistic choices that you might not agree with, but they definitely put in there. How long do you want to stay here and do this for?
Probably until it's time for me to go to my classes.
Okay, by all means. The little hat prances around very impatiently, but it eventually settles and just sits on the grass. You can read these. The more you read, the more beach metaphors come up. They all seem very big on the sand and beach and waves. It's a repeating motif.
The book must have mentioned a beach, and now they're really latched onto it.
Yes. And as you stand here, it's almost like you'll read one, and then someone will like kind of come up, kind of crouch and hand you something that they've printed out just now. Almost like they are listening and writing their own essays in the moments as you speak. But you can do this for probably like the next 2 hours or so before the sun is high in the sky. You look at the little hat, and it is completely inanimate now, just a normal reporter's or a detective's hat there on the ground, and you can kind of, if you want, pick it up, say farewell to the folks, and be on your way. By all means, you pass through and go to your class. The rest of you wake, go to classes, linger about, do your regular studential things. It passes to be roughly noon. Nothing transpires. Classes are going normally. The thoughts of possibly tonight's meeting might linger in your minds. Winsler, the thoughts of Kurt's waking of you and message this morning might linger a little bit. But is there anything that any of you wanted to get up to in this day leading up to this affair?
I think given the wonderful wake up I had this morning,
Yes.
I guess just really, because like no one has told me where they said I was going to have to go into a more common room.
Yes.
I haven't been told where I'm supposed to go.
By all means.
I can accompany you.
You two can accompany one another, and Sarah and Cinderman, you can ask around. Bookstore, they kind of go, we can't help you. Get out of the line. You get kicked out of there very quickly. You might try asking a couple of passing attendants, and they'll just wave a hand and say, I work for the enchantment department. I can't help with all your little normie problems that come up in your day. That's not what my stipend is for.
Oh, shit,
and they
I'm a
kind of like
normie.
push their glasses up and like straighten their pocket protector and rush off on their way. Eventually, Sarah Cinnamon, it might turn to asking a little blue-robed golem. They might be 5 feet tall as they scuttle by. They have in their hand, it seems like a little schedule. It's almost like like the little key ring. You keep your keys on it. There's a little ring, and it almost has like a laminated schedule attached to its hand that they're looking at as they like scuttle around. Sarah, if you can stop one and be like, hey, do you happen to know where my room is? And they will put the little schedule away, stowing it in their rib cage, and they will stare at you for some time, the little blue gem taking in your face, and then they will turn with little hands folded in front of them and begin scuttling off towards the dormitories. You and Integrity can share maybe like a look of hope as you finally have some sort of direction here, Serenip Cinderman. This golem leads you to the 8th floor of the building which Integrity and Winsler live in, a far cry from your 2nd floor position of privilege. They will go down the hallway. You can see that most of the hallways, or most of the doors here, are unmarked. They have no nameplates in front of them, seemingly empty. They have very big external locks, which lock them shut, made of like a very heavy steel, it seems, Serenup, and they have big glowing red runes in them.
This looks like a prison.
Feels kind of like prison too. What the heck?
Well, at least you're in school and you're learning something while you're in prison. Imagine if you were stuck in a tower in the capital.
Honestly, yeah. This is, I just hope, there's no other names on the doors. Maybe even if I'm getting moved to a different room that's smaller and meant for multiple people, maybe I don't have a roommate for some reason. I don't know.
That'd be good, but then if you're locked in there, no one will ever find you because you don't have a roommate who can try and check if you're still alive.
Well, they would give me a key to get in and out of the room, right? Like, I
but
would
it looks
hope.
like the lock is in the outside.
Well, that's the way. That way, I can lock it when I leave the dorm.
But what if Sylvie comes in and then locks you in there and then calls them to grab you?
I
don't think she
Can we
will.
talk about that? Yeah, she woke me up in the morning, just above my head, and was like, "Hey, how does it feel to be worth so much money?" And like,
You are.
yeah, but I used to be worth a lot of money for a kind of good reason, and now I'm worth a lot of money for a really bad reason.
Yes, but at least you're valuable.
I guess.
And he says, "At least you're valuable." As the golem stops in front of one of these doors at the very end of this hallway, the furthest possible room from the stairwell. There's not even a window at the end shining light in. It is dim and dark, not a candle lit. The golem stands here and with one hand will point towards the door. Next to it, the nameplate reads no person's name. To your understanding, it just reads the Union Bunk.
Oh.
The golem will
Okay.
then fish around in its ribcage for some time. You hear the bending and scraping of metal, and then will pull out a small iron key and hand it over to you.
Thank you.
They do not nod. They do not reflect upon your presence. They just scuttle off little metal footsteps across the floor.
Union bunk. Okay. I will unlock the door and go inside.
You unlock this door, Sarenep Cinderman, and a wave of musk and general heavy scent hits you. It is a room almost like someone had never opened their windows in like 12 years. Just this scent of like built up organic scent hits you square in the face. Like a locker room adjacent, almost. Like a locker room and a wet mat and all these things, they hit you. Inside, immediately, you are confronted with, there seems to be 3 large bunk beds pushed against the far side of the wall, squished like a can of sardines in here. There is a multitude of desks displayed in here, almost like a first grade classroom with the desks all pushed together, chairs tucked neatly under them. You can see, as you open the door, the expressions. Again, there's no windows whatsoever in here, Sarah. It is dark and dim. A single candle sits on the tables and illuminates the entire room, and just this heavy scent fills the air. You can see that sitting on 2 of the bunk beds and seemingly talking to one another are a gnome who has like this big leather jacket on and like this hair she has pulled back. She has like very like narrow, very discerning eyes, very critical eyes, it seems, Sarenep Cinderman. Sitting at her feet is like what seems like an enormous sized dog. One might call it a wolf of some sort. She almost like has her feet sitting on its hip. Across from her is sitting a very muscular young person. She has like drawn back elven style ears and like a very muscular build. She's wearing like a student robe, and then she also has like cut slits in the back with like these big, almost like butterfly wings sticking out, not fluttering but just sticking out. They seemingly are sitting on their 2 bunks talking to one another, Sarah and Cinnamon. And as you enter in, they'll both with concern turn and look in your direction. A stillness in the entire air before this muscular young pixie will say, are you in the right place?
Hi, I'm Sarenep. I was recently
They
moved.
discard your entire next few words and they lean over to their gnomish compatriot and they go, have you heard of Sarenep? Have you ever heard of Sarenep? And then the compatriot goes, no. And then stares at you with a stone face. The other one, this fairy turns back to you and goes, we've never heard of you. Do you live here? Are you breaking in?
No, I was recently moved to a new room, and I was brought here by an assistant when I asked about my new room.
Make a persuasion check.
I think these are your roommates.
Yeah. That's a nat 20.
A nat 20.
Damn.
The pixie uncrosses their arms and puts it on the bed and kind of leans back and says, all right, I'm not like a gatekeeper or anything. I just don't want some fucking creep in my room. And the gnome sitting across from her nods her head. The pixie, they'll continue and say, nice to meet you, Sareneth. I'm Aaron.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Etherwood. And she squints at you, almost waiting for you to say something.
Nice to meet you. I'm Sarenep Cinderman.
She looks at you for a moment, and then you see her again lean over to her gnomish compatriot. You hear them whisper, and you hear like, Cinnamon. And then the gnomish compatriot just looks at her and like, lets out a deep sigh. She'll turn to you and say, I'm Yixia. And she'll point down at the wolf at her feet and say, this is Vida.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Welcome to Union Bunk. It is a very poor room. I don't know what I did to deserve being here, and I would like to leave as soon as I'm able.
Okay, it's nice to meet you both. I hope we all get along wonderfully.
Integrity, you're like behind Sarah, like peeking around her, looking around, taking everything in. Is there something that you wanted to say?
Are you ever allowed to leave this place?
This is my cousin, Integrity.
Aaron, the fairy, looks around and says, We can leave for like classes and like general purpose things, but it's our dorm. It's our dorm. We were assigned here. I think because we're really poor. But that's just speculation on my part. But we're allowed to go outside. We're not stuck. We are students.
Oh, okay.
We're not ghosts
just because,
or like spirits or specters or wraiths,
No.
Banshees.
I know. I don't mean. I don't mean to
mummies.
offend.
Ghouls.
Bone claws.
Bone claws.
Bone claws.
We're not nightmares.
It's just I was just clarifying because you said that you can't wait to leave here, and I thought it meant that you just can't leave the room. And then I got curious because then if you're in the school, how were you going to classes if you can never leave the room? Unless you have a construct that can go to the classroom for you, and then you can listen to the class. But then I don't know. Is Vita a construct or are they real?
Ixia leans over to her friend, the pixie or fairy, Erin, and says, I think she's, and kind of like knocks her head really hard. And then they both kind of lean back and regard you, Integrity. And they go, we are students here, and we go to class and have the worst room on campus. That is it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for your visit.
I'm sorry.
You
I'm
can come back
Integrity.
anytime.
Wait.
The wolf, Vida, is not a construct. Real wolf. Very real.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very real.
I'm Integrity Addleberry. I'm also very real, and you are right. I have a hard head, and then I knock my head.
You knock your head real hard. Everyone hears the hollow thunk that emits from your skull. Sarah Cinnamon, you can move your things in. You generally make pleasant small talk with your fellow new bunkmates. And the afternoon proceeds. Integrity, you can leave your cousin, head back to your classes, just running about the school. Winslow Wallaby, you're sitting in a musty room yourself, being lectured to by some adjunct professor who is not Professor Doss, you might know. It's sitting in the conjuration department, and there's this
Professor
old
Floss.
gnome. They have like long eyebrows and like this pulled back high ponytail, this high collar that almost like makes it look like she has zero neck, and she's like using one of those long pieces of chalk on the end of stick, and she's drawing sigils on the board. You're the only person in the class, and she goes, "This is the transportation rune. You must know. You must, Mr. Wallaby, bake it into your skull this moment henceforth. It's traditional, by all means. It's written in the Sylvan language. Yes. Do you have any questions on this rune, or shall we move to the next? Very well. The next rune, truly a phenomenal rune." And she begins to erase and chalk it. Winslow Wallaby, the window to this classroom opens as if a breeze has pushed it open, and then a little piece of paper folded like a bird flies through the window, silent, and lands on your table. It unfolds itself, and it seems to be a small envelope.
I can't look around inconspicuously because I'm the only person that's in this room.
Well, she has her back turned to you.
I know.
Like,
it's just
erasing
I was
the
just like,
chalkboard.
I'll look inconspicuously anyways. Like no one can see it, and then I'll just like quickly read it.
You open it, and it has a little note that says, "Dear Mr. Wallaby, it's my understanding that you were informed partially of our contracted work for your friend and roommate, Mr. Orlane. It is on our best interest that you sign this contract of non-disclosure, that you will not tell anyone of the events or of Mr. Orlane's involvement. It is magically enchanted that it will return to us when you have completed your end of this deal." And at the bottom, there's like a little place for you to put your signature, Winsler.
First of all, the fucking audacity of this man. What if I tear it? What if I just like crumple it up and tear it apart and then just
Winsor
like
Wallaby, you crumple it and you hear like like the one part of a sound of a bird, and then you just rip it in half and you hear like as if a crow has just been hit by a car. The professor turns around and she'll go and she'll look at the window. Can you make for me a deception check?
I think that scared the cats.
oh no.
No.
Deception?
Deception,
It was
please.
a 12.
A 12. As she turns around and regards you, what do you say to her?
I think I saw an owl hawk outside the window. It just flew by. It was terrifying. It made a loud noise.
She walks over to the window and looks around. And she like examines it. She points at it and she goes, "The dust is in the shape of some foul bird that hit it. A shame." And she looks over and she goes, "Oh, it's not there. Must have been magical of some sort. Crazy things afoot.
Should we get back to the lesson?
We could get back to the lesson. Crazy things afoot on this campus, Mr. Wallaby. I received a letter just last night regarding being brought on to an organization, but that's nothing of the sort. The next rune!" And she taps the board and she goes, "This is the rune of the pipe. It is to symbolize movement to and fro in a suctional form." And the lesson does so continue.
She mentioned getting a letter from another organization.
She did.
Why is everybody getting letters?
It's just a curious little thing.
I feel so bad that I just killed a bird.
It's fine. It's magical. Lunch ceases. Lunchtime does arrive. Mira Marchand, you are let out of class, and you are kind of... a relief washes over you. Is there anything you want to check up on?
So I don't know if this necessarily like has to be a whole scene, but I do think that Mira would be keeping her eyes and ears open for any hint of whatever went on with Alina last night. Like, was there, did anyone like smell smoke in a certain area? Does anyone seem to be upset or anything missing? It seems like maybe some sort of like transmutation spell was maybe performed on someone. So does somebody look unexpected? Just little things like that.
By all means. Could you, for me, make something of a perception check to listen and notice?
Make something of a perception
to rumors of all sorts.
It's a 15. 11
a 15? You don't really 15. You don't really hear anyone talk about smoke in the night. You don't hear anyone say like a transmutation explosion. Nothing of the sort. It seems you listen to the rumor mill going around dining hall. It's mundane of a sort. But you don't hear anything about smokes. You don't hear anything about transmutation. Nothing about some student doing something illicit last night. Until you do hear about, oh, have you blah, 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 seen blah, 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 blah. You hear like a little you hear a small voice on the other side of dining hall beginning to like ask around. You hear about someone, oh, have you seen this person? Have you seen blah, 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 blah. And you're like trying to listen for smoke and such things. And this kind of like distracts and you keep being pulled away and kind of being like, okay, please. Like ears focus. Kind of like that thing where like there's a lot of talking in a room and you're like, oh, I want to listen to this person next to me, and you cannot help but hear other people's conversations. Over the course of probably like 2 or 3 minutes, as you try to listen and grow increasingly frustrated, the voice grows closer and closer and closer. As it grows closer, grows in familiarity, you hear one of your co-collaborators, a small tiefling, blue of skin, red of hair. She's walking around. She sees you sitting here, Mira, and Cinder Sunfire walks up to you and she goes, Mira, maybe I should have asked you first, but I didn't see you sitting over here. Do you mind if I sit down?
Go for it.
Perfect. And she like sits down on the bench and she will lean forwards, grab like a small pastry, like a Danish or something of the sort, off of the table.
We don't even have Denmark.
Inspect it for some time and she goes, I love these things, and takes a big bite of it. She'll set it down and look at you. There's very visible worry in her eyes, Mira Marchand, and she'll go, have you heard from Runa?
Somewhat. She sent her hat. I think maybe she animated it like my friend Winsler does to come see me, but then it led me out to the golems, and then it kind of sat and listened. I don't know where Runa is. What have you heard?
Her roommate came by the Warbler this morning and said that she went missing or left the dorm last night at around 2 a.m. and never came back.
That's interesting. I can try to locate her, but I have a sneaking suspicion that she might have gone, elsewhere.
I'm worried she'll lean in now, like the pastry up to her mouth so that anyone like sitting across or like away from you can't really read her lips, and she'll say, I'm worried it was about the assignment. And she like makes eyes with you, meets at your eyes, and then she'll take a big bite.
I think you might be onto something. Shit, okay. I don't want to assume she's in trouble. She's very capable, but if she did end up, well, my friends and I can maybe put together a sort of search and rescue party. I'll try the spell, and if that doesn't work, I have a sense of where she might be.
Okay. Yeah. Try the spell. Try the spell first, though.
Oh, yeah. And I think, like, even just here in the dining room, Mira would probably just, like strum a couple of notes on her lyre and attempt, at the very least, to cast the spell Locate Person.
Of course. Or Locate Creature, right?
Locate Creature, yeah, sorry. I think it is it Running Water, or?
Yeah, Running Water.
Yeah, it's running Water blocks the path, and it's 1,000 feet.
Yeah. Within 1,000 feet? Oh god, what's 1,000 feet?
300 meters.
Dining hall is relatively close to the front of campus. We can say that this is within spitting distance. Myriad Marchand, you play a couple notes, you strum a couple notes, melodic, beautiful, hanging in the summer air. A couple people turn in their seats and look over at you, playing your beautiful music. It's like you're just practicing, you know? And people are like, wow, I wish I could play an instrument like that. And another person goes, well, you know, most people are just born with it, and it doesn't take any hard work. It's just like a thing you have or not. And the person goes,
yes, it takes so much hard work.
Right.
And then,
yeah. And then you're like, what? And then you get a little ping. Your sense of direction, maybe not the best. However, big pieces of note on campus are the big towers at the front of campus. You might be familiar with them. There's 9 of them, 8.5 really, after the divination tower, you know, went kaputs. But Mira. Off in that direction towards them towers and a couple 100 feet in the ground, you get a big ping sensation, maybe confirming what your beliefs were, in fact.
brain drawing tower.
Brain drawing tower.
Operation Saver.
You know, I wasn't really gonna eat these pastries anyway. Why don't you finish them for me? I'm gonna go.
Oh, I wouldn't. And she starts to kind of make
insist,
a joke of
I
wouldn't.
insist.
And then she looks at you very seriously and goes, like, just with wide eyes, like expectant of you to say something.
Well, she's on campus. I know where she is. I don't know how she is.
She puts a hand on your shoulder and says, okay, I'll take care of the pastries. Just go keep her safe.
Of course.
And she picks them up and goes, oh, delicious. And there's a we get a 9-minute scene of Cinder just eating pastries by herself.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Delicious.
We cut it for time, but know that we role-played the whole thing, audience. Mira Marchand, as you rush out of dining hall, superhero, push the doors open. What might you be doing? What might you want to do? I assume assemble people, but that might not be true.
No,
okay.
I do want to gather my friends.
Swim, assemble.
Of course. Swim, assemble. Very easily you can find Integrity, drag her. Winsler is exiting the conjuration department, musing that he had just killed a fake paper bird, thinking about this adjunct professor. Professor Dollop was her name, Winsler Wallaby, in case you want to write it somewhere, had received a letter in the night as well. Sarah the Cinderman is lingering on campus, looking out at things, looking at the grass blowing in the breeze, looking at a beautiful silver-leaved tree hanging up above the buildings, eating like a little sandwich. And then you can, Mira, grab her by the arm and pull her. You guys can all go into a huddle, or you set the scene, Mira Marchand, of how you inform these people of the decision and where we go.
I think I'm trying to walk with them and trying to keep it cash. Like I'm strolling at what seems like a slow pace. Have you ever seen how giraffes run, where they're actually going very fast, but it looks like they're moving in slow motion?
Because they're so big.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like trying to seem very cash as we're on our way to the tower, and I'm like, so one of my reporters might be in trouble here. And there was a whole bunch of stuff being investigated about some of Crow's people, and I think that stuff is reaching a breaking point, and I think we maybe need to go do a little bit of a rescue operation. Is that okay with everybody?
There's a lot of weird stuff going on around here lately. I'm not too comfortable with it. But
Hey, but Yogg's a great philosophy reader. Did you hear
I
about
know,
that?
I'm surprised.
Well, I don't know if they're a great philosophy writer, but, you know, they deliver other people's writing excellently.
I mean, what is philosophy but just rambling?
Damn.
Yeah, I really got a feel for that.
That's kind of why I never went into any of those classes. I already do all that.
Integrity, Sarah, what is your responses to this information?
I am all up
Philosophy's
for a
sham.
rescue mission. Let's go.
Integrity, Idleberry.
My brain is not working.
Okay. Integrity,
Just
Idleberry.
smile slowly.
Still, your head hurting from classes and hitting your head so many
Integrity's
times
brain
earlier.
is now fried.
Kind of slack-jawed, walks behind you, keeping up with the group, just trying to formulate her thoughts. She tries to butt in with like a thing that you guys were talking about a couple minutes ago, but then goes, no, my brain's not working. As Mira Marchand, you can lead them off towards the divination tower.
To the tower.
That's
to
where
the
we'll end
tower.
our episode this week of Trials and Trebuchets. Wait, we have to do an outro.
Yeah, we have to do an outro.
Carla, could you do an outro for us?
Hope that you all enjoyed that episode, everyone.
Yeah.
Please don't forget to leave a rating or a review on our iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast. We also have an Instagram at Trials and Trebs. Give us a follow. You can get updates on stuff and all that shindig.
Lots of fan art.
We also have...
Tag us.
Yeah, tag us. We also have a Discord server, and you can find the link to that below or wherever you get access to us. I'm pretty sure you'll find the Discord
It's
server.
below. Yeah, you can find it. It's a great community.
It's hidden in the ancient texts.
We also, last but not the least, we also have a merch store.
Yes.
Which
Ooh.
is
Tremorch.com.
It's great.
Tremors.com?
Merch store.
Oh my god.
Tremorch.com. If you don't know how to spell it, it's TREB.
MERCK.
CK?
CK? I'm not familiar with that letter in the alphabet.
It's an ancient sylvan rune.
Please don't listen to Luke. Don't listen to Luke. It's
We don't need to spell it.
Tremorch.com.
ERCH.
That's gonna cut. I'm cutting that.
Boosting the
.com is spelled C-O-M.
You guys,
Listen,
you can
because
have
of
a
the
short
screenwriter
episode.
strike, we couldn't get anybody scripting on this episode.
Oh my
We had to
God.
improvise.
Exactly.
We
We
don't usually.
support the union.
Yes, as we all
we
know.
support the union.
We do.
And speaking of a union, unite with us through our Patreon.
Patreon.com/Trials and Trebs. You can get bloopers. You can get notes, or you can make a Patreon NPC, such as the folks living in the Union bunk,
yeah.
Oh,
from Bird and Aaron from Aaron. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I'm so
Aaron.
sorry, y'all, for judging the both of you.
No.
Well, I
away.
wasn't judging you.
Judge away.
No, I wasn't judging.
I am a fan of anyone who owns a giant pet. That is sick.
The
Until
wolf
next
is real,
time.
by the way.
I hope that you enjoyed this 9-minute outro. Until next time, I've been your Dungeon Master. Bye.
I've been your
Bye.
player.
Been your dungeon
Ben.
master?
Goodbye, everybody.
Are you not dungeon mastering anymore, Luke?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the month of August. The end of the summer is nigh. 'Tis 2:40 a.m. in the morning. I hope you enjoy this. I'm sitting here with my baby boy, Marigold. Say hi, Marigold. He doesn't want to say hi, but I'm here to thank some patrons. We have 2 of you to thank this month. First of all, thank you to Marky Charms. Thank you so much, Marky. And second, thank you to Mara. Thank you so much, Mara and Marky Charms, and every other patron for your support of the show. It means the world. It keeps the lights on. It lets us continue making the show in a stress-free manner. It lets me record this at 2:40 a.m. with my little kittens sitting on my lap. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed next week's episode. They're playing in the background. And until then, goodbye.